The board has already saluted the flag and had a roll call, and we met in an executive session, and now we're coming back to the regular session. The next thing on the agenda is the statement of public notice. You can read that on your own. I'd just like to point out when you read it that we are now recording the board meetings to make them available to watch. I think some people already had a chance to watch the YouTube video last time. And so I just wanted to point that out to you because that's new. Okay, so the next item on the agenda is item number 8. We're here tonight to acknowledge the football team for being the North Jersey Section 2 Group 5 state champions. For this acknowledgement, the board is going to go down and join the audience. So we're all going to move down there.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us tonight. And I'd just like to take a quick moment for myself to congratulate all of you young men that are here this evening on your accomplishment. It's quite remarkable. I had the pleasure of being at your banquet yesterday. I really enjoyed you guys and seeing how much fun you were having. So it's great to see the camaraderie that you guys have built and the respect that you have for each other, as well as for your school and for your coaches. So I know that I say on behalf of myself and the board as well, congratulations. So we're thrilled to have you here tonight. It's always fun to celebrate student accomplishments, something that we're going to try to do more and more at our board meetings. So at this time, I'd like to just introduce Rich Shello, who is going to talk just for a minute and introduce your coach.
Thank you, Mr. Markarian. You know, every athletic season, every year, student athletes work so hard at their craft, aspiring to be the best they can be. And I can honestly say that in almost every season, that is the case. Our kids do a wonderful job and do become the best they can be. On certain occasions, and we're celebrating one here tonight, we're recognizing one tonight, not only do our student athletes become the best they can be, but they become the best, period. And this is a group we had today. The 2013 football team enjoyed, record-wise, the best season in over 50 years of football at Ridge High School, with a record of 12 wins and 0 losses, an unbeaten season, which was the first one in the history of the school. Tremendous accomplishment, guys, it really was. And it's a credit to you as young men, to your coaches, to the belief in one another, that the success that you had. They wound up their season as champions of the Mid-State 38 Watchung Division, and then entering into the state playoffs, they won the Group 5 North Jersey Section 2 State Championship. Now, Group 5 is a new area that was set up last year. This is the largest schools in the state of New Jersey. You know, I've been here a number of years when Ridge was a small Group 2 school, and we've seen it grow to be Group 5, and to win the state championship at this level is outstanding and a wonderful accomplishment. They were also recently named by WCTC Radio as the outstanding and the team of the year in the WCTC radio listening area, so another great accomplishment. So I'm not going to take away Coach Tracy's thunder, because he's going to elaborate a little bit more on their season, and he certainly has the right to do that. But before I do, just let you know, kids got great accolades. We covered those at their dinner yesterday. Coach Tracy was named Star Ledger Coach of the Year for the state of New Jersey, the MSG varsity. Coach of the Year as well, and the Somerset County Coach of the Year from the Courier News. So again, all well-deserved honors. And Coach will be the first one to tell you, you know what, these guys here are largely responsible for that. So without further ado, Coach, it's all yours. Bill Tracy.
Thanks, Rich. It's an honor to be here tonight. It's very humbling, and we've been blessed with a great group of guys every year. As Rich said, they always give everything they have. For this season to work out the way that it did was something else. The Coach of the Year awards they're great because that means we've obviously had a great season together, and that's how I look at that. And Rich and I know Rich has coached before. And, those would be better if they were called Program of the Year or Town of the Year, in my estimation. But so everyone has a piece of that as well as this season. I'd like to thank Mr. Markari, Mr. Syed, Mr. Shallow, Mr. Howlett, all of our administration at Ridge, and our Board of Ed for hosting us this evening. We very much appreciate that. And we appreciate the support that is daily, not just this evening. And fellas, I think you understand how much support you have at the high school, within your football program, within your athletic program, most importantly within your academic programs and counseling programs, and everything that's offered here. We're very fortunate to be where we are, okay, and I give thanks every day for that. So we're very appreciative of that. I'd also like to thank Principal Karen Hudak, who hosted us here the night before the championship game. We wanted to give the boys, like a movie, we showed them Rudy in here. That's the last time we were in here, guys, actually. And so that's kind of neat. And then we had access to the cafeteria, and we gave the guys, we want to kind of control that evening for them a little bit and put them at ease, and that went great. So I want to thank Karen for that. Our touchdown club is amazing what they do for the boys and the program, and for our cheerleaders too. We'll get to our cheerleaders in a minute. And Bob Stay, our president. And our booster club. Our booster club is very generous. They've donated different items for the boys over the years to use in the strength room, as we know, and they made a donation towards the rings that the boys will enjoy probably about a month to 6 weeks from now, once we get that order all squared away. I want to thank our youth football groups in town, Ridge Youth Sports and our Junior Red Devil Flag program. We have a real nice tie-in with those two programs. And, they execute a lot of our fundamentals and drills and offenses and defenses. And that's a big part of it, because these seniors, my first year 5 years ago, I guess they were in like their last year of Ridge Youth Sports, and I introduced them at least to the offense that they were going to run in the high school. That was big. And now each young man, as they come through, has had that many more years of it. So it's truly a town effort and a town program, and it's great to be a part of it. Our cheerleaders, our band, and coaches for their support at all of our games, regardless of weather, on the way, any day of the week. They do a great job. The girls just won their competition yesterday, so we're really happy for them. Our trainers, Scott Hoagland and Amy Mitchell, for keeping our boys healthy. They do so much in there to get the guys out in the field and put them back together, not just physically. There's a lot of emotional parts that go to that when they're injured. We had a pretty good year health-wise. We had a few guys out for a while, but we got them back, and so that was good. Our coaching staff, John DeVisco, Paul Davis, Tom Blackwell, Andy West, Mike Clark, Max Sidoli, Mike Schmidt, Jim Baldessari, J.P. Mahoney, Steve Hendershaw, and Jeff Sutherland. That's our staff for all levels, freshmen on up. They put a lot of time in. Football is a demanding sport. There's a lot of preparation. We only play one game a week. There's a lot of reasons for that. One is obviously the physical nature of the game, and the other is the preparation. So to get the guys prepared, the staff did a great job. Anthony Sidoli was, Max Sidoli, one of our coaches, his son was our water boy and ball boy. So I want to thank Anthony. He came to all the games, and it got to the point near the end when things were kind of cold out there, but he wouldn't miss a game because he didn't want to jinx the team or anything like that, so that was pretty neat. My family for their support, and my wife Sue. I'd like to thank the people of Berners Township for always coming out to the games and supporting the boys. they're good boys. They really are. To see them in different arenas, no pun intended, but different ways that they interact, the classroom, the hallways, the cafeteria, the athletic fields, they do a great job, and they carry strong GPAs at a great high school, and they put a lot of time into their sports as well. They make each other better. They care about each other. I can honestly say, you know, there's groups of guys that are always friends and stuff, but there's no cliques on the team. You see the seniors interacting with the sophomores, helping the juniors, and back and forth. It's really, really fun. And I'm going to get to you guys in a second. But so to the people in town, thank you for your support. You're supporting a great group of guys. And I know our guys come around a lot with fundraisers and things like that, and you're always helping the boys, and that's much appreciated. And spring cleanup is coming soon, so you'll probably see them knocking on your door to move some mulch around or something like that. That would be much appreciated. And I want to thank our players. You guys are the ones that do it, and I've told you that a million times. As coaches, you know, we can doodle on paper and come up with plays and stuff, and sometimes they work and sometimes they don't. But the bottom line is it's you guys. You're the X's and the O's, as they say. You make it go, okay? You make it go. You put the time in all summer long, 4 hours a day, 4 days a week, and then when camp hit and on and on. You're the ones out there doing it, sticking together. When times got tough, it was 12-0. It does not mean it was easy. It was a lot of hard work. But along the way, we had a lot of fun. And the personality of these fellows is excellent. They made us laugh every day. It never feels like work, although we are working hard together. So to our players, you know, I want to thank you guys for all your sacrifices. And you know, as I've told you, it seemed almost every day that in the end, I love you guys, and I love being your coach. And I look forward to you know, all of our future endeavors together, our reunions that we'll have someday, and following you guys as you go through college, and we'll come back and say hello to seniors. And to the younger guys, we already have our slogan for next year, and that is to continue the tradition, okay? And the tradition is not 12-0. The tradition is of the hard work, of the high character, of sticking together, keeping the faith, working hard, all the things that we've always talked about. Continue that tradition, and good things will happen to you. I want to thank everybody today. I really hope I didn't miss anybody. But I do want to call the boys up, as it's really their hour. And again, I thank the Board of Ed, our administration, for hosting us this evening, and hopefully we'll be back before too long. So thank you very much. All set?
Yeah.
That's true. All right, we'll have our captains here. I know Connor couldn't make it tonight, but we have AJ Peter Paul. You come up and help hand out the certificates, okay? We have Nick Francis and Ryan Bell here this evening. And basically, we're going to go through by grade level, alphabetically, I hope. I think that's how we have it arranged. Okay, so look for yourselves in that order. Another thing we did this year was we have, which we've kind of always had, is something called a game day captain. So we have our set captains that the boys vote for at the end of the summer. But each week we try to recognize a new player, usually a senior, who's been working hard or things like this. And then the boys take turns where that senior goes out and takes the point flip. So that's kind of a neat tradition that we have too, I think. Okay? Who has these socks? Okay. Brett Albee. Pete Alexis. Moatai. Let's try wrestling. You get something tonight, maybe. Matt Aletti. Kevin Beneventi. Frank Banani. Joe Brady. We encourage the guys to play other sports, so some of them are busy with that this evening. Jack Child. Jackie Porter. Wayne Feaster. Alex Girardi. Kermit Hoffman. Chris Lynn. Now, those are our sophomores from this season. Juniors, AJ, who do we have? We'll start Brian Madden. That's our one sophomore. Okay, Brian Madden. Blake McIntyre. Tim Bishop. James Napolitano. Luke Olmstead. Alex Pritchard. Ben Ringelbad. Duncan Roberts. Ed Shell. Jake Staples. Todd Walthall. Al Youngberg. Eric Zimmer. Chris Gordon. Jack Bronstein. Mike Deneau. Evan Gannon. Alex Heffernan. Mason Jacobs. Amal Kumthikar. Dylan McGuire. John Bishop. Danny Phillips. Harrison Storms. seated. Brian Vigilante. Will Vogt. Brian Walsh. Spencer Rickenheiser. Adam Zalfis. Winston Zhu. Jack Becker. Ryan Bell. Tom Chiracco, East Side Basketball. Matt Corgiani. Liam Durkach. Evan Neffelson. Mike Dunshee. Tyler Feeney. Nick Francis. Rowan Rawal. Alex Talley. Connor Hughes. Chris Muller. AJ Peter Paul. Brian Scherzer. Dave Singer. Matt Schulis. Connor Stiglitz. Alex Thompson. Patrick Walker. So again, thank you very much for hosting us this evening. Some of the guys are in winter sports and stuff. I think we had a nice representation by the guys over at Kansas as always. Time to go home and study for your quarterlies? Yes? Okay, safe going home, guys. Thanks again. Enjoy the evening. All set?
Okay, at this point in the night, we are going to begin the process of interviewing candidates for the board vacancy. We've had some questions about the process and why we're interviewing as opposed to holding an election or something different. So we have our board attorney tonight with us, Sherry Adams, and so I thought I'd let her speak for a moment about the process of the appointment before we move on.
Thank you. What happens is if a board member who is currently sitting on the board resigns, then that creates a vacancy, and the education laws provide a process for the filling of that vacancy. The first thing that happens is that the Board of Education, the remaining board members, have the opportunity to interview and appoint someone to fill that vacancy within 65 days from the date of the resignation of the board member. If for some reason there is no one selected by the board to fill that vacancy, then the process moves to the county superintendent, and the county superintendent would have the right to appoint someone. The person who fills the vacancy would serve through the next board election in November and until the following reorganization meeting, which would be in January of 2015. To the extent that the position that is vacated by the resigning board member is longer than a year, then there would be an open slot for the unexpired term held by that candidate that would be available for people to run for and submit to the election in November. And then whoever is successful in that election would take that unexpired term position as of January. So that's basically the process. The way the board has set it up tonight is they have received written materials from applicants for the board vacancy. They have asked each of them to come and present a statement here tonight, and a statement of no longer than 10 minutes. They've also indicated certain areas which they'd like them to address in terms of specific questions. Do you want me to go over that? Yeah. Including their background and qualification for the position, the philosophy of public education and what it can or should afford our students, their perception of the role of a school board member, and the strengths that a particular individual would bring to the board and areas of board committee interest. So that is the process that's about to happen. We're going to hear from the various candidates in accordance with that procedure. And then we will adjourn to executive session where the board will consider the applicants, and then at a future point in the meeting we'll hold nominations for filling the vacancy.
Thank you, Sherry. The candidates are going to come forward in alphabetical order, which was predetermined, and I think they all knew that order ahead of time. We ask that the candidates be respectful of the 10-minute time limit because we have 7 people coming forward tonight. Our very first candidate is Eileen Carr. If you would come forward, you can speak at the podium. Eileen is not here, I assume. She can. Nobody out there knows if Eileen is here? Okay. I guess we'll move on. Our next candidate is Karen Gray.
Can you hear me? Good evening, Mr. Markarian, Mr. Syatt, Mr. McLaughlin, and members of the Board of Education. Thank you for the opportunity to speak this evening. My husband and I have lived in Bernards Township for almost 16 years. We have 4 children. Our oldest daughter and our son graduated from Ridge High School in 2011 and 2013, respectively. We have 2 daughters still currently in the district. One is a junior at Ridge, and the other is in the 6th grade at William Annan. During the past 15 years, I have been fortunate to experience a wide variety of volunteer opportunities. I began volunteering at Liberty Corner School when my oldest daughter was in kindergarten. Throughout the many years since then, I continued to contribute my efforts to many committees at all 3 levels of schools. That commitment continues today. The first Board of Education meeting I ever attended was for the announcement of the redistricting due to the opening of Mount Prospect School. When the doors opened at Mount Prospect, I immediately became involved with the new PTO by chairing several committees. That following fall, I was asked to serve as a Mount Prospect representative to the now defunct Interschool Council. Having served as treasurer to that organization for my 2nd and 3rd year. Upon completion of those responsibilities, I moved on to the role of treasurer on the Mount Prospect School PTO Executive Board for 2 years. From July 2005 through June of 2007, I served as a co-president of the Mount Prospect School PTO. At the same time, I also served as a representative on the William N. Parent Advisory Council. It was during my term as Mount Prospect PTO co-president that RISE took center stage in our district, and I was asked to serve as a Mount Prospect area coordinator for residents in support of education. Following that, I served as a William N. PTO co-president. Since the end of that term, I've continued to remain active serving on the William N. Middle School PAC and the District Curriculum Committee. Over the years, I was often asked, when are you going to run for the Board of Ed? Our busy household of 6 held me back, but I often pondered the idea. I have a long history of advocating for our students and this district and have made it a personal goal to stay informed on matters occurring that impact this district. From the earliest days of discussion of the referendum that led to RISE to this very day, I've been a regular attendee to the Board of Ed meetings, missing only a handful each year. My philosophy on public education is quite simple. The education of our students must come first, whether as educators, administrators, support staff, building maintenance, or parent volunteers. Our primary purpose should be to best serve the students. Without them, none of the rest of this need exist. Above all, delivering a thorough and efficient education that meets the needs of our students should remain our highest priority. From my perspective, the role of a school board member is to support the district administration in their efforts to ensure that we are delivering the best education to every student. That said, I also feel part of a board member's duty is to bring suggestions to the administration that may result in improving education for students in Bernards Township. Having been a volunteer in the district for many years, I feel I have numerous strengths to offer if chosen to serve on the Board of Education. I would welcome the opportunity to serve on any committee that board members and/or administrators felt would best support the school community. Thank you for your time, and I look forward to hearing your decision.
Thank you, Karen. Our next candidate is Jamison Mark.
Good evening, Ms. President, board members. It's a great honor today to be here. I've been told I have 10 minutes today. However, as an attorney, I will try my best to keep it under 10 minutes. I grew up in a very humble background, and as a lawyer, it's my job to advocate for others. So my opportunity now is to try to advocate for myself, which is a very unusual situation. A little bit about myself. I am a resident of the Hills in Basking Ridge. I'm married to my beautiful wife, Carrie. We are high school sweethearts. This year will be our 20-year anniversary. We have 3 amazing daughters. They are all 3 in the Mount Prospect School District. I own a law firm here in Basking Ridge. There were 4 questions that were presented to us that we needed to answer, so I wanted to try to focus on those 4 questions. And the first was your background and qualifications for the position. I tried to go back as far as I could to figure out all of the positions that I've ever held that would qualify me for this position. I thought going back to the high school level might be a little too far, so I started with my background at Iowa State University. I was a student government liaison for the student athletes. Then I went to law school, where I ran several organizations. I was president and justice of several different committees. I am currently a member at Mount Prospect as part of the PAC, the Parent Advisory Committee. In my legal career, I do, as I said, I have a law firm where I manage several employees. And prior to that, I have represented public entities in the government as part of my job. I provide counseling in matters of 504B, anti-bullying, the HIB, so I'm very familiar with all 3 of those, which is a very, very topic that we're today, into the school district today. And of course, I think my greatest qualification is I am a parent here in Basking Ridge with 3 young children, and it's my intention to stay here for a long time and make sure that the school district runs very well. Second question that was asked of us is our philosophy of public education and what it can or should afford our students. I am a product of public education. I graduated from a small high school in Iowa. We had a very large class of 72 students. I then went to a very large public university, Iowa State University. I'm now here in Basking Ridge. My philosophy is also fairly simple with public education, and that is we need to allow our children to grow. We need to give them opportunity, and I think that's one of the most important things in any public education is opportunity, provide culture and diversity, social functions, and the experiences that they can have. When I was sitting here earlier watching the football players, I thought to myself, that's an amazing accomplishment. I didn't realize they were going to be here tonight. It's very difficult to follow them, but that's just something that an amazing public education can do for their children. Not only does Ridge have the education, but we also have the extracurricular activities. And that's something that I think is incredibly important for public education. I think every child is unique and every child needs to be provided with an opportunity. And if we give the child the correct opportunity, they'll grow and they'll become a better person and more mature and a better person in our society. I believe that the opportunity also comes not only from the board, also from the parents, of course, but from the teachers. And providing public education and public school with the right teachers is very important, if not the most important thing. Allowing the teachers to inspire children, to allow them to motivate our children. I believe that the school is the reason why Basking Ridge is what it is. Candidly, most people move to Basking Ridge because of the school district. If it's not the main, if it is not the main reason, I'm an example of that. I moved from another town into Basking Ridge in 2005, and it was because of the school system. The next question presented to us was your perception of the role of the school board membership. Obviously, the school board is in the front of the public view. There's a persona that must be demonstrated to the citizens of this amazing town. It's very, very difficult, I know, to sit up there. It's very difficult to make the decisions. Each and every one of you must do it for the betterment of the school and of the children. And because of that, that's the opportunity I would love to have. I think the perception of the school board also is to respect the diversity of the people of this town. This town has an amazing group of diverse cultures and backgrounds. I think it's also incredibly important to listen to the views of the members of this town, setting aside our own personal agenda for the betterment of the school. I am a true team player. The strengths that I believe I'll bring to the board, time commitment. I know that it's a huge time commitment. Again, I own my own firm in town, and therefore I have the flexibility to come to board meetings, to work with everyone morning, noon, and night. Communication, as a person who owns a business, I deal with people every day of all different backgrounds and diversities. I try to communicate as best as I can by listening and understanding. I research. I do the best I absolutely can to understand what the issues are. I'm vested. I have 3 children in the school district who are young. I plan on being here for a long time and working with the school district. I'm also a forward thinker. Technology, that's really where everything is nowadays. And you really have to figure out what is the best way to get technology in front of the children. I take this opportunity very seriously, and I realize the magnitude of the responsibilities of the school board and representing the town and the board, but just as importantly, representing families and the children. And I thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you very much. Do you think it's that speaker? Okay, well, he's back here working on it, so hopefully it'll stop. It sounds like it got a little bit better now. Okay, our next candidate is Divyanshu Raj.
Good evening, everyone. My My name is Divyanshu Raj, mostly known as Divi Raj, which is easier to pronounce.
Could you please speak right into the, can you take the microphone off of there and talk into it? Thank you.
Is this better?
It's probably better if you take it off and hold it.
Sure, no problem. Okay. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to talk to you all about where I come from, what my vision is. Basically, I'm a metallurgical engineer. I started my career 20 years back with a manufacturing company back in India called Steel Authority of India Limited. It was a manufacturing company who used to make steels, iron and steels. And completely into metallurgy, I didn't know that one day I'll be here standing in front of you talking about education. But education is deep in my blood, though my career path was a little different. Being in corporate world for the past 20 years, this has made me a self-motivated, dedicated, diligent person with very high level of integrity. I'm a very quick learner, and this helps me work with very high level of commitment to whether it's external clients or internal clients, whatever kind of business I'm running with. Usually, I do a small trick. I set my visions and goals a little challenging and a bit stringent for myself. This helps me go one extra mile and always excel the employer's expectations. And I play this everywhere, not just in my career, at home too, just to set a role for my kids. I have two wonderful boys, a sophomore at Ridge and a 5th grader at Mount Prospect. As I said, I come from an educator's family. Both my parents are professors back in India, and 3 of my siblings, they are also professors in different subjects. Reason why I'm deeply involved with my kids' activity, this is coming very natural because of coming from an educative family. My dedication to support the mission of Bernard Township education system is very natural. It is, as I said, it is in my blood. I have demonstrated my support through various services at Mount Prospect, whether it's organizing a science fair, celebrating International Day, volunteering for Math and Science Day, or whether organizing various classroom activities. I'm always there. I make sure, even with my busy schedule, I have set time for these activities. I've been representing Mount Prospect School at Board of Education Curriculum Committee as well. And I was representing this last year, and I continue doing this year too. Often when I come across various parents, they show concerns, being part of a curriculum committee, they often show concerns about the new technology which is coming in the market. And because technology is so ahead of everything, we have to offer this to kids too. And sometimes it bothers we as parents whether kids are getting the right kind of technology or not. I make sure all the concerns and all the comments are getting communicated to curriculum committee, and whatever I get out of curriculum committee, that goes out to the community, either through PTO or through mouth of word or any other channel. Working with school and 2 of my kids, moving from Mount Prospect to William Annan to Ridge High School, I have a first-hand knowledge of how school board decisions affect the classroom, how the kids get impacted directly by that. So I want to serve on school board because I want to be part of this decision-making process, ensuring a quality education while working with a wonderful board of members. And together we can adopt policies that give the district direction to set priorities and achieve its goal. This way we can focus on students' achievement and implementing policies that will ensure success for all the students as well. I have a vision that our graduates need enhanced lifestyle. While we as parents, we want every child to be a college graduate. But it's not always like this. And I believe we as a nation, down through individual school district, focus too much on assessment and not enough on achievement. My goal will be to incorporate lifestyles back into education as a meaningful option, and I believe I can contribute. My goal will be incorporate this lifestyle into education as meaningful option, and believe that my contribution, many more contribution, many unique perspective can add value to such a wonderful school district like this Bernard Township School District. As Mark mentioned, I was fully amazed by the support Board of Education showed today with this football team. In fact, I wanted to share one small story. My son, he goes for fencing, and recently he earned one extra rating, and we were very happy for him. As parent, as his friends, as my friends, he got a small congratulations email from Board of Education, and I was surprised. Do they monitor this? A single student, single achievement, not such a great achievement, but that matters a lot for that small kid. And looking into all these, contributing to the community, making presence in community in such a large scale really amazed me. And I want to be part of this, taking it to the next level of education. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next candidate is Karen Richmond.
Good evening. My name is Karen Richmond. My husband Ross and I have 2 children, an 8th grader at William Annan and a 5th grader at Cedar Hill. The excellent schools and the wonderful community are what drew us to want to raise our family in Basking Ridge 7 years ago. The consistent results of students' high test scores, academic achievements, and the vast variety of extracurricular activities and cultural arts are what keep us here. I graduated from SUNY Binghamton with a bachelor's degree in English, Literature, and Rhetoric and worked as an editor for 12 years. For the past 4 years, I've served on the Cedar Hill PTO board. During my first year, I coordinated and edited the weekly newsletter, and for the next 3 years, I served as the PTO co-president. During my tenure as co-president, I helped spearhead the fundraising efforts, grant writing, planning, and implementation of a $150,000 renovation of the new Cedar Hill Library Media Center. This project is one of the accomplishments I'm most proud of, giving students a brand new, bright, and inviting environment to develop a lifelong love of reading and learning. I was also involved in developing technology plans for the entire school and the fundraising efforts that allowed us to purchase new technology. I also oversaw all the other projects and programs that were run or sponsored by the PTO to enrich the lives of the students, staff, and faculty at Cedar Hill. Being involved with the PTO has been such a wonderful and positive experience. In addition to serving on the board, I volunteered at many school events at Cedar Hill and William Annan, chaperoned field trips, and served as class president for both of my children. Not only have I made great friends through these experiences, I've had the opportunity to work closely with the most fabulous principal, teachers, and staff at Cedar Hill. I've also had the opportunity to develop meaningful working relationships with the administration, past and present, on several different projects. During the library renovation, I had the opportunity to work with Dr. Goger, superintendent, Mr. Markarian as business administrator, and with the Board of Education. I truly valued their support and trust in the PTO when they offered to loan us the money to purchase shelving for the new media center so we could complete the renovation in 1 year. They trusted us to pay back the money within a year, which we did, and we were truly appreciative of their willingness to do that. I've also worked with Mr. McLaughlin and Mr. McCarrion on several different projects that took place last year. These experiences were so positive, they inspired me to want to be part of the board so that I can help other schools in the district accomplish their goals. Through my role as co-president, I've also had the opportunity to speak with countless families about issues great and small and try to find timely and effective resolutions to their concerns. I'm accustomed to working with committees and working through issues, making compromises where necessary for the benefit of the students. I'm used to collaborating on ideas and trying to come to a consensus on important issues. I've experienced working with the board with 9 very different personalities and opinions, and going into each discussion with an open mind. More than once, I've had my mind changed with solid, strong arguments for or against whatever it is we were discussing. I've always been a team player and am willing to listen to everyone's ideas and opinions. In addition to my involvement in schools, I've also served as a Girl Scout co-leader for 5 years. Our troop proudly earned the Bronze Award 2 years ago, and most of our 8th grade girls are currently working on their Silver Awards. I've also volunteered with book collections and fundraising events with SHARE, a nonprofit organization started by a Basking Ridge High School student in 2008. This wonderful group has built several libraries and schools in Africa and is providing scholarships for bright and deserving African girls so they can attend high school. Without the work of this organization, these girls wouldn't be able to afford high school. This schooling is vital to these girls, and so they can receive a world-class education and become the leaders for tomorrow. Can you imagine what life would be if we had to do that? I've also volunteered for a few events for the New Jersey chapter of Room to Read, another nonprofit with a focus on education. This organization, founded by a former Microsoft executive, John Wood, envisions a world in which all children can pursue a quality education, reach their full potential, and contribute to their community and the world. To achieve this goal, they focus on 2 areas where they believe they can have the greatest impact: literacy and gender equality in education. They work in collaboration with communities and local governments across Asia and Africa to develop literacy skills and a habit of reading among primary school children. I would like the opportunity to get more involved by serving on the Board of Education and to work with teams to help make decisions and find solutions to the challenges our district is facing. While attending the majority of board meetings over the last 4 years, I've learned so much about the ways our school operates. I've seen and heard about many of the challenges our district faces, and I have tremendous amount of respect for the administration and the Board of Education's decisions, and I appreciate the thoughtfulness and care that goes into everything that makes our district great. I've learned that implementing changes in the district can be complicated and not always as straightforward as one would think they would be. There is often a lot more involved in the decision-making process than the public realizes. Even when someone from the public brings a concern to the meeting and a Board of Ed member is in complete agreement with the proposed idea or change, doesn't mean that the change can or will be implemented. There are complexities involved that none of us would know about if we didn't attend the meetings. I do hope that with the taping of meetings and perhaps with higher attendance of board meetings, the public will become more aware of these limitations and become more involved with the issues, concerns, and decisions that affect our district. The mission of the board, the Bernards Township School District, is to provide a superior education which results in academic excellence, responsible behavior, good citizenship, and fosters social emotional development so that ultimately each student will be able to maximize his or her potential, become a contributing member to society, and maintain a commitment to lifelong learning. These are all very important ideals that I agree with and totally support. I firmly believe that it is the inherent right of every child enrolled in a public school to receive a sound, educated, rooted in equal opportunity, and delivered in a safe and nurturing environment that ensures physical and mental security. I believe that all members of a Board of Education must believe unequivocally in the value of public education. They must be dedicated to serving and understanding that their role is to act strategically in line with the interests of the entire school community. I have done this in the past in the PTO, and my goal is to continue to do so as a member of the Board of Education. I believe all school board members should be accountable, active, and two-way communicators, active listeners, and two-way communicators. These are skills that were required as a leader of the PTO and something that I can bring to the Board of Education. I will work to always be visible, vigilant, and versatile, with the end goal of Berners Township Schools creating well-rounded students prepared for academic and career success. I know the Board of Education will continue to work with the members of the Township Committee and the PTOs and perhaps other groups to address community concerns and to develop an even stronger relationship with the public. As a board member, I will foster these relationships. I am passionate about parents and how their involvement makes a difference. I am passionate about the role of the community and how it can have a positive impact in education. In my opinion, our Board of Education has been doing an excellent job, and I know that there are several challenges that face the Berners Township School District as well as other public school districts in New Jersey. The most critical challenge is financial, as the state is constantly imposing unfunded mandates. The classic example for this for this year is the new teacher evaluation system. Several boards of education have already passed resolutions requesting the state to fund the cost of conversion to the state's new requirements, but it is unlikely that the school districts will see any funding from this process. Unfunded mandates such as this make it extremely difficult for public school districts to maintain or even improve the educational programs they are able to offer to our students. We need more dedicated people to focus on the inadequate funding for public schools. Perhaps this should even become a subcommittee of its own. In addition, the state has decided to shift to Park, which is expected to be fully operational in the 2014-2015 school year, despite the field testing that started late in 2013. The shift in testing will present the challenge of balancing high-stakes tests with quality education that embraces all disciplines and talents. I'm concerned that with so much time required for mandated testing, the teachers are not going to be able to teach our rigorous curriculum, and the students are going to become even more stressed with completing the assignments, projects, tests, and quarterly exams, as well as everything else of the demands of our curriculum, while also fulfilling the state mandating testing requirements. The state has also shifted its focus to technology issues in public schools, which has put another burden on the district and PTOs to raise funds for technology, because the state has indicated that they will not pay for the requirements for testing. I would like to be a part of the board and work through these challenges with the state to find more state funding. My attendance at the Board of Education meetings has heightened my sensitivity to and knowledge of the day-to-day operations of the schools and how the Board of Education operates. I'm prepared and qualified to serve on the Board of Education. I know how vital it is to exercise good judgment and fiscal responsibility on a daily basis. I will strive to spend taxpayer money wisely. Likewise, it is important that the Berners Township School District be operated as efficiently as possible so that every student in every classroom at every school has the opportunity to learn in a safe environment of excellence. As with all parents and community stakeholders, I'm concerned about the future and what it holds for the youth of Berners Township. As a Berners Township School Board member, you could be assured that I would be a voice for the community and our students, a supporter of our teachers, and a strong ally for our parents. As for board committees, community relations would be a natural fit for me, as would the district curriculum committee, which I became involved with this year. I think it's so important that we continue to offer a rigorous curriculum and deliver the best programs possible. I have the time and flexibility to devote to serving on these committees, and I'm willing to serve on any committees where it would be needed. In closing, I would like to do the utmost to maintain quality education for all students, high achieving and special needs alike. I believe the board's job is to foster an educational environment where students thrive, not merely produce adequate test scores. Please join me in making our schools the best part of Berners Township. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next candidate is Elizabeth Van Hall.
Good evening, Madam President, Mr. Superintendent, and members of the board. I'm sitting here listening to all these candidates thinking how lucky I am to have 3 children in Basking Ridge in the school system, because any of these candidates are superior in terms of their qualifications. So being close to last, in my humble opinion, I will try to be as pointed as possible and address the points in the memo. Qualifications that I believe that I could bring to the board result in my background as a former educator and a drug and alcohol.
Can you take the mic out and hold it, please? Thanks. Thank you.
I'm sorry.
It's okay, thanks.
Is that better?
Yeah, thank you.
I hear myself. The qualifications that I believe that I could bring to the Board of Education is my background as a former educator, guidance counselor, and a drug and alcohol counselor. I've seen firsthand what a superior curriculum can do for students, as well as the interplay of outside forces. What I mean by that is, we talk a lot about superior curriculum, but if your children aren't rooted and if educators aren't taught to issue spot, in other words, with different drug issues, different alcohol issues, God forbid, and other issues, none of it all comes together. And it's important that we're able to educate our staff, educate our teachers, educate our administration about a whole student rather than just simply academic superiority. Because if you don't look at a whole student, it's impossible to send them out into the world and expect them to succeed once they leave the boundaries of Basking Ridge. As a family lawyer right now, an adjunct professor at Seton Hall, and a partner in a law firm, I understand three things that I think I could bring to the board. First, as a family lawyer, I deal with emotionally charged, high conflict cases all the time. They deal with the family. As board members, I'm sure that you see on a daily basis issues pertaining to students and how their family impacts them. As an adjunct professor at Seton Hall, I teach family mediation, which makes me very resolution orientated. I think it's really important to be able to hear what people need, understand what they want, and come up with a goal so we can meet it. As a partner in a law firm, I'm reminded daily about our fiscal responsibilities. I pay attention to budgetary concerns, and I understand that we're bound to that, so we need to create a plan that's within those budgets. If you go outside your budget, you can't, quite frankly. The most important job that I hold is that I'm a mother of 3 very young children. I have 3 children, 4 and under. So selfishly, to become a member of the board allows me to have an input in my children's lives, in the quality of education they have. I'm very lucky because, quite frankly, when we moved to Basking Ridge, I wasn't sure whether, my husband was sure that our children were going to go to public school, but I wasn't sure. And having been able to hear what other people talk about the Basking Ridge school system, because quite frankly, I never knew much about it. I came here as a product of my marriage, quite frankly, and I got lucky because I hear parents, my kids in the preschool, I listen to how older siblings, and I think, wow, like, this was the right decision because this is where my kids are going to be spending the next 18 years becoming educated. When you ask about the philosophy of public school, mine's very simple. I grew up in a town where, in my parents' mind, it wasn't an option to go to public school. A lot of kids didn't go to college, which was an important priority of my parents. There was some crime. A lot of kids had some criminal records within a few years after graduation. So my parents worked very diligently so I could go to Catholic school. They believed that would give me the best education, per se. So when you ask me my philosophy is very simple. Every child should be able to walk into the doors of a Basking Ridge school and get the education that they deserve. And when I say every child, I emphasize the word every, because not one child is like the other. We can't be cookie cutter. We need to address the whole child. We need to address their needs and make sure that each child is set up to succeed. So you may have a child who has superior academic grades, but you're ignoring the fact that they excel in another area. I think that if we don't do that, then we're failing as a community, as a board, and as members of, quite frankly, Basking Ridge, as members, residents of Basking Ridge. You know, my husband says to me that my daughter gets her drama from me. I am very dramatic, but I like to think of it as passionate. And, you know, I grew up with my mother quoting Eleanor Roosevelt all the time. And so I have these quotes constantly coming in my head when I speak about things. But one of the quotes, which I'm not quoting exactly, was Eleanor Roosevelt believed that if you gave a child a good public school education, then you're going to have a child be a good citizen. And I really believe that. You listen to these stories about children coming out of schools doing things that nobody can imagine, and you wonder what went wrong. We always ask that. And I really believe, and this goes into my philosophy, this goes into my perception of what a board member should do. I really believe that being a member of the Board of Education is not only a privilege, but you have a high duty to the residents of Basking Ridge. Not just to the parents, not just to the students, but to the entire community. Because if we don't produce students, or at least give them the opportunity to excel, then we're failing. Students, again, this is me being a little bit more passionate than I probably should be, but if you can bring a child to a well, but you can't make them drink, I think that you can make them drink. I think that if you spark their imagination and we look to the right educators and the right administration, you listen to this coach, and I kept thinking, wow, like all these boys, I'm watching these boys thinking that my kids are going to be sitting there, God willing, in 15 years, and they're looking at their coach, idolizing him. What a fabulous role model. So something like that even has something to do separate from actual education. Although obviously academics is superior, we need to look at the whole picture. Back when I was a guidance counselor, I was also a track coach, and I used to say to my kids, there's no I in the word team. Again, I know it's a little hokey, but I believe that. And as members of the board, we work as a team. We may have you may have very different views, but when you come and make a decision, that's a team effort. You take responsibility as a team, and if you don't do that, then no one's going to take anyone seriously, and you deal with the most critical issues that affect our residents. One of the things that's important to me in terms of becoming a member of the Board of Education is I really believe that teaching my children volunteerism and community service. And there's, no matter what, my children will learn from what I do and what my husband does. So everything I do is so that I can raise good kids, quite frankly. And if I could pick somewhere to volunteer, I can't think of a better place to dedicate my time and energy than to the Board of Education, because I'll have an impact not just on my children, but on the entire, it's a little hubris, but on the whole picture. When I was trying to think about my strengths, I spent a lot of time thinking, what could I bring to this group of people that would actually make a difference, that would be different than who's on the committee? And I thought to myself, yes, I'm a skilled listener. I'm a trained economic mediator. I'm trained to listen and to hear. I'm trained to bring people to get to a final conclusion or resolution. I'm also trained, I work collaboratively, which I think is very important. I think one of my greatest strengths is I can appreciate institutional memory, but at the same time, given my eclectic background, I can bring a fresh and new perspective to the board. Most importantly, I think if you look at my resume and look at my background, you can see that everything I've done in my professional, quite frankly, personal life has to do with children. I think that by having someone who's passionate about children, as we all are in this room, when you listen to every single person talk, you can't go wrong. So I ask that if the board were to, it's funny because when I think back about why I want to do this, I think back to something that my grandmother used to say. I was raised Catholic, so during Lent you give up something. They always say during Lent you should give up something. My grandmother used to say to us, it's not what you give up, it's what you do, which I loved as a child because I wasn't giving up candy. I was saying a nice thing to somebody I didn't like every day based on something like that. But I'm trying to teach my children that it's not what you say, but it's what you do. And by becoming a member of the board, you'd be bestowing on me a great honor. You'd be allowing me to teach my children something significant and making an impact in the community. I thank you very much for this opportunity.
Thank you very much. Our last and final candidate is Douglas Wicks.
Douglas Wicks, thank you for the opportunity to present the board. I believe that I have experience and qualifications to be a very constructive member of the Bernards Township Board of Education. My background includes many years in government service for Bernards Township in Somerset County, including more than 15 years as a member of the Zoning Board of Adjustment and also as a member of the Township Planning Board, and a decade of service as the Bernards Township representative to the Somerset County Solid Waste Advisory Committee. I have also served as a volunteer in many township advisory commissions, including such things as the computerization of the township, cable television franchise renewal, the Pill Hill Recycling Center, to name a few. I'm a graduate of Syracuse University and have completed graduate studies at Seton Hall University. I'm a veteran and have resided in the town for more than 35 years, and both my children graduated from Ridge High School. I now have 2 grandchildren attending our schools, and that's the reason I'm here tonight. my vision of a school board trustee. I believe that public education should be provided to produce a well-informed and engaged responsible citizens, and also to prepare them to obtain the necessary skills, tools, and abilities so that they can become productive citizens and to contribute to our society. To that end, I believe that they must have a solid foundations in the fundamentals of our republic to ensure that our nation endures so that they may enjoy these blessings of liberty to pursue their goals. As James Madison observed, knowledge will forever govern ignorance, and a people who mean to be their own governors must arm themselves with the power that knowledge gives. A popular government without popular information or the means of acquiring it is but a prologue to a farce or a tragedy, or perhaps both. So it is imperative that our schools make the commitment that we hand down the necessary knowledge of freedom to our children to ensure our government of the people, by the people, and for the people will long endure. I have a concern for our country, and I think the education system is one that can help us pull out of it. I also believe that our local school board must be, after the parent, the primary determinant of the student's education, a role confirmed by the Constitution, federal law, Congress, and the state. We have always done a stellar job in this area without outside interference. So we should continue to be a locally control of our own curriculum and course study and reject any undue influence, outside meddling influence in this area. I have a concern about the federally funded Common Core curriculum that seems to be a meddling influence. And I believe that this is possibly illegal, and I believe that we should carefully study it before we get too far embroiled in it. I have a question about its legality, and I've written to Congressman Lance and my state legislators to have it explained just how this stealth Common Core initiative can be called legal in light of it being counter to the intent and purpose of the U.S. Constitution, General Education Provisions Act, the Department of Education Organizational Act, and the No Child Left Behind Act of 2000. A school board trustee should act both as a steward of the taxpayer and the students to ensure that our schools produce well-informed, engaged, responsible citizens, and also prepare our students to attain the necessary tools, abilities, and skills so that they can be productive citizens and contribute to our society and accomplish these goals without undue burden to the taxpayers. My strengths as a trustee. I believe that I bring to the board the following strengths because I have expertise in the area of public works and facilities maintenance that is sorely needed to ensure the board and we taxpayers receive the best value for our construction dollars. My background includes experience with the state of New Jersey in the capacity of facilities management, which encompasses all aspects of construction, including creation of scopes of work, review and selection of architects, project management, value engineering, and cost review and analysis of completed projects. I have expertise in building and perimeter security and was a member of the ANSI 4317 Commission that sets passenger screening standards for the TSA for airport security. My background also includes more than 20 years' experience in the architectural design and construction fields with a focus on school facilities. I have conducted seminars for the New Jersey Department of Education Facilities Department for school roofing projects and served as an instructor for the New Jersey Educational Facility Management Program, and also was a member of the ASTM D8 Standards Committee, setting standards for roofing materials used in the New Jersey Uniform Construction Code. I have an extensive background in public school funding, and have been highly involved in the area of state aid to the school districts. I was sponsored as a nominee for Governor Christie's 2012 New Jersey Educational Funding Task Force by 3 state senators, and I have bills before the legislature for an improved school funding formula that focus not only on equitable per pupil spending, but also on constitutionally compliant method of finance. Senator Walt Kavanaugh and Kip Bateman set forth a bill for this formula at my request. The same funding formula has recently been adopted by Mike Dougherty as the funding formula that has gained wide support throughout the state, including a resolution by our Berners Township Committee supporting this formula. I have attended and testified before the State Board of Education and have advanced the funding formula to them. I also have attended Garden State Coalition meetings regarding inequities in suburban school funding, and I have provided input in that area. I believe it is incumbent on our board to press for this equitable method of funding, which would greatly relieve the local taxpayers of their requirements for the $90 million budget. I therefore believe my strengths would best serve the board and the facilities commitment. Finally, let me get this so I can read it. I want to be honest with you people. I want to advise the board that if they're contemplating the approval of the pending Oak Street School roofing project, that you remove me from consideration for this vacancy. I cannot in good conscience condone this waste of over $1 million taxpayer dollars on such a hoax, and I would not continue to serve on a board that sanctioned it. Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, the board is going to go into executive session. No action will be taken in an executive session. Our intent is to take no longer than 30 minutes to discuss and come back. Can't make any promises, but hopefully it won't be that long. Can I have a motion to go into executive session? Bev? Second? Elaine? Okay, thank you. Hi, everyone. I'd like to call the meeting back to order. The board has met in an executive session. Thank you very much for your patience. This was a very hard decision. As someone said in the room, it was very humbling to see all of the people who came out who are so qualified and so passionate about our children's education. At this point, I'd like to open up nominations. Is there anyone who would like to make a nomination?
I would like to nominate Karen Richmond. Karen has a variety of volunteer experience in the district in a variety of areas, and she knows a lot about how the district works, and she has worked with members of the administration and the Board of Education.
Would anyone like to second the nomination?
I'd like to second it, please.
Thank you. Are there any other nominations? Okay, at this point, we will take a roll call. Mr. McLaughlin?
Mr. Byrne? Mrs. Swarner?
Yes.
Dr. Virick?
Yes.
Mrs. Cassell?
Yes.
Mrs. McEwen?
Yes.
Mrs. Shaw?
Yes.
Mrs. Wooldridge?
Yes.
Mrs. McGowan?
Yes.
Madam President?
Thank you. So we have a candidate. Congratulations. Should I call her first? I would like to thank everyone who came out tonight. As I said before, it was so nice to see so many people who are interested in serving on the Board of Education and who are so passionate about education. I really hope that everyone who came out tonight will keep coming to meetings and stay involved and possibly come out in the future. And I would like to thank all of you for coming out and everyone else who's here to support them. At this time, we'd like to call up Karen Richmond to the stage to be sworn in. Just read it.
I, Karen Richmond, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey, and that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same and to the governments established in the United States and this state under the authority of the people, so help me God. I, Karen Richmond, do solemnly swear that I possess the qualifications prescribed by law for the office of member of a Board of Education, and that I will faithfully, impartially, and justly perform all the duties of that office according to the best of my ability. So help me God.
Congratulations, Karen. Welcome. At this point, we are going to continue with our regular meeting agenda. We are up to number 12, which is the superintendent's report.
Thank you. I would just like to echo some of our board president's comments. I don't mind telling you that when we met, the person in the room that said that they were humbled was me. When I listened to comments from the public, in particular this evening, from Ms. Gray, Mr. Mark, Ms. Raj, Ms. Richmond, Ms. Vinhall, and Mr. Wicks, it's really, truly humbling because you hear the passion that people have about the school district and the expectations that they have for all of us, including our board members, and it puts a burden on me as a superintendent, and I know the administrators around me to always try to give you in this community our very best. So just know that made an impression on me, and I'm committed to doing the best that I can for you. So thank you very much for coming out. Those of you that interviewed this evening, I know that putting yourself out there is always a challenge, and I thank you very much for doing so. And of course, I encourage you, if you're still interested in pursuing work with the school board, that there is an election every year, so there's always an opportunity. So thank you very much again. Moving on to the items underneath the superintendent's report, we have the first item are the board committee assignments, and we have some field trips to approve in items 2 and 3. Note that the third item is an overnight field trip approval and acknowledgement in item 4 for receipt of the HIB report. And that's all I have for you tonight in the superintendent's report.
Okay, could we have a roll call, please? Mr. McLaughlin?
I'd like to ask
Oh, sorry. Does anyone have any questions?
I'd like to talk about the HIB report.
Sure. So the HIB and the EVVRS reporting period for the first half of the school year ended on December 31st. I met with the administrators this morning about that issue, that they had to have all of their filings completed by December 31st, because I was going to be presenting on February 10th the results of the first half of the school year. So you'll be getting a full report from me at the next board meeting because they have until the end of the week to finish their data entry.
I think my question had to do with the slight differences in the two reports. The suspension record indicates whether the students were classified or not, but it doesn't indicate what grade they were in. And I'd like to know whether it's first offense or multiple offenses. And then the HIB report does give some of the data, but I'd like to know more about whether they're multiple offenses or not, whether it's repeating.
I can add that to the suspension report and the HIB report. I can put both of those things in there for you. That's not a problem.
If it's the same students, then it's one thing. If it's different students, it's another.
Does anybody else have any questions?
I have a question about the same report. The date of incident on one of them is December 2012. Is that correct?
It should be December 2013. We had a lag over the course of the holiday in the timing of some things, so we're catching up a little bit at this meeting.
So it should be 13, not...
Yeah, December 13. The administration has 10 days to submit the report to me, so sometimes, depending on when the board meetings fall, it ends up being lagged, especially over the holiday.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I just wanted to make a comment. I wanted to say I liked the new report. We're getting more information now, and I appreciate that. So I guess, thank you. And also thank you, Mike, for suggesting it. I think it is useful to know a little bit more about the incident.
Anyone else? Here goes. Okay, someone want to make a motion to approve items 1 through 4? Bev, second. Elaine? Okay, and then we'll take a roll call.
Mr. Byrne?
Yes.
Mrs. Warner?
Yes.
Dr. Varick?
Yes.
Mrs. Cassell?
Yes.
Mrs. McCune?
Yes.
Mrs. Shaw?
Yes.
Mrs. Richmond?
Can I say yes on 1 through 3 and abstain from 4? 'Cause I receive it.
Mrs. Wooldridge?
Yes.
Mrs. McGowan?
Yes.
Madam President?
Yes. Okay, at this point, we are up to public forum on agenda items. I would like to open the public forum to anyone who would like to come up to speak on any of the agenda items. If you come up, could you please put your name and address on the clipboard? It's kind of late. There's probably not too many people that want to come up and talk. Okay, I guess there's no one else? Okay, I'd like to close public forum on agenda items. We're up to approval of minutes. Need a motion to approve the minutes. Wayne? Linda? Second? Roll call?
Mr. Byrne?
Yes on December 16th. I abstain on January 6th.
Mrs. Warner?
Yes.
Dr. Varick?
Since I wasn't a board member on the first one, I guess I have to abstain, and I approve the second one.
Mrs. Cassell?
Yes.
Mrs. McCune?
Yes.
Mrs. Shaw?
Yes.
Mrs. Richmond?
I abstain.
Mrs. Wooldridge?
Yes.
Mrs. McGowan?
Yes.
Madam President?
We're now up to committee reports. The first is finance. Would someone make a motion to approve items 1 through 14 on finance? Susan?
I'll move items 1 through 14 on finance.
Second. Mike, second. Okay. Susan, did you want to say anything, or does anyone have any questions?
Actually, it's Mrs. Cassell,
Oh,
who is
okay.
the
Oh, yes,
finance
Oh, I'm
chairperson.
sorry. I know we did.
Yeah.
Sorry. Elaine?
I don't have anything in particular. Most of this is routine appointments and for family leave and maternity leave replacements. Am I in the wrong spot here? So does anyone have any questions, I guess?
The donation, too, is...
Oh, sorry.
Which one, the donation? Cedar Hill, we ought to thank the PTO for the donation.
Where?
Yes, on item 11 is the Cedar Hill PTO donation.
Oh, yes, we want to
for the smart boards.
thank them for their generous donation of $2,248 for the purchase and installation of smart boards. We also want to thank the Tina and Richard Carolyn Foundation for a donation of $5,000 for the Ridge Varsity Competition cheerleading team so they could travel to the national cheerleading competition, which we approved, I guess, a couple meetings ago. So we'd like to thank them for those generous.
Does anyone have any questions or comments? No? Okay, let's go roll call.
Mr. Byrne?
Yes?
Mrs. Warner?
Yes.
Dr. Varick?
Yes.
Mrs. Cassell?
Yes.
Mrs. McCune?
Yes.
Mrs. Shaw?
Yes.
Mrs. Wortram?
Yes.
Mrs. Wooldridge?
Yes.
Mrs. McGowan?
Yes.
Madam President?
Thank you. Now we're up to personnel. We need a motion to approve items 1 through 22.
I'd like to approve items number 1 through 22.
Second, Linda. Any comments, questions? Okay, roll call.
Mr. Byrne?
Yes.
Mrs. Warner?
Yes.
Dr. Burek?
Yes.
Mrs. Cassell?
Yes.
Mrs. McCune?
Yes.
Mrs. Shaw?
Yes.
Mrs. Richmond?
Yes.
Mrs. Wooldridge?
Yes.
Mrs. McGowan?
Yes.
Madam President?
Thank you. I'd just like to point out item number 6 is the appointment of a new assistant principal here at William Annan. Who's still here, sat through patiently the long, long meeting, which we don't usually meet for this long. Nick, would you like to say anything?
So Dan, if you wouldn't mind, why don't you step up here to the podium for just a second. I'd like to congratulate Dan Lederer. Dan comes to us from Hanover Township Public Schools, where he's currently serving as a phys ed and health teacher at Memorial Junior School. Prior to that, he worked in the school district of the Chathams in a K-3 school. He's got experience coaching in lacrosse and ice hockey. And he also did a stint in between his 2 teaching positions working in a family business. So he's got some business experience as well. So we're very happy to have Dan here. And just by way of explanation, remember that we had one of Mrs. Hudock's other assistant principals recently moved to a position for central office in the director of curriculum position, and that was Brian Heineman. So this is not an expansion position. It is a replacement position for Dr. Heineman, and we're very happy to have Dan on board. And I know he has been patiently awaiting for this official appointment so he can figure out what he needs to do with his current employer. So thank you for your patience, Dan, and you're welcome to share something with the board. Thanks.
Thank you. I would just like to thank the board and administration for this opportunity. I'm truly grateful and excited to get started and work with our outstanding students and strong school community. I look forward to get started, and I thank you again for this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we are up to policy. We need a motion to approve item 1 on policy. Susan?
I'll move item 1 on policy.
Second?
Why not?
Bev. Comments or questions? Oh, Mike?
I made an attempt to read it, but wow, that's about all I can, and it's very much like the first reading that we had a year ago. Very complicated. That's my comment.
Do you want to say anything?
Just to give a quick report, these items are on for first reading, and the majority of them are as a result of the Achieve New Jersey and Teach New Jersey Act, and they're just either new or revised policies on evaluation and of all this administrative staff and teachers, and on tenure and non-tenured support staff renewals. And these are all mandated policies based on legislation. The only one that stands out from this policy alert we had was item N, policy number 7522, and that was a previously approved policy which we're just making some changes to. The policy is school district provided technology devices to staff members, and it had previously said that it disallowed staff members from downloading software onto their devices. And the change has just been made that after receiving approval from authorized district staff, the staff member can do their own downloading. Prior to that, the staff member, I guess, had to bring their device to an authorized staff member and let them do all the downloading. So it's still being authorized, but the staff member can then do the download. And those are the changes for that policy.
Any questions? Will you have the roll call, please?
Mr. Byrne,
I'm going to be honest and abstain.
Mrs. Swerner,
Sadly, I read and understood and vote yes.
Dr. Burek,
I too read them. Yes.
Mrs. Cassell,
Yes.
Mrs. McCune,
Yes.
Mrs. Shaw,
Yes.
Mrs. Richmond,
I abstain.
Mrs. Wooldridge,
Yes.
Mrs. McGowan,
Yes.
Madam President.
Thank you. We're up to curriculum.
I will be reporting on curriculum at the next board meeting, February 10th.
Thank you. The Advocacy Committee, I will also do a committee report at our next board meeting. And liaison reports, is there anything that we need to do right now? No.
I
We
will,
can do that next
I
time?
will do liaison reports at the
Next
next
time.
meeting also.
Okay. At this point, we're up to public forum on other than agenda items. I would like to open it.
The Somerset
Oh. I was gonna-
Association, we can do that at the next.
We can do it at the next one, I think. We'll just put it with everything else. I'd like to open public forum on other than agenda items. Is there anyone who would like to come forward at this point? Please put your name and address on the clipboard. Thank you.
Good evening to the board. The name is Parag Dagar at 274 South Finley. I had broached this subject once before as well, and Ms. McGowan was the president of the board back then, had promised she would look into it. Issue is the November 11th board presentation is still not up on the website. All other presentations are already up there except for this one. Kindly put it up, please. We would like to see those details. Thank you.
Is there anyone else for public comment?
Pardon me, ma'am, just one more point here. Would like to also find out what the current status on the permits from the county are. Have you received any permits? Have you applied for them? And have you heard back from the NJDOE on this particular issue about the driveway through the health department? Please elaborate on that. Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, I'm going to close public forum. I think Nick wanted to respond to.
Right, so I did go back actually and look at the November 11th meeting, and I couldn't find a PowerPoint. I don't think I actually did a PowerPoint. I think I had one single slide that was a picture of the driveway, and we kind of walked a discussion through it. If you need a picture of that, I'd be happy to send that to you. I have your email address. I can email you that. So, but it wasn't really a presentation. Normally, if we have a presentation, we link. But I think I just walked the board through the scenario that we were looking to have done. As far as the NJDOE approval of the driveway proposal that was submitted to them, I don't think we've gotten anything back on that, so it's a good reminder. Thank you. We can check on that because we actually should have gotten something back by now. I don't know why we wouldn't have. And as far as permits go, my understanding is that the contractor would be the one that would have to apply for those permits. I think you were talking about like a road access or driveway permit, and I inquired about that about a month ago, and I was told that that's something that typically the contractor has to file for. It's not something that we would file for. So, but maybe when I send you that email with that one photo, I can let you know about the NJDOE permit because we can look at that. We can find out where that is. Thanks.
Thank you, Nick. We are at board forum. I think I had some stuff that I'm going to save till next time when it's not so late at night. So I don't think we had anything else listed for board forum tonight. And now we're up to adjournment. I have a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Raise your hand.
Karen? Second? Preeti? Okay, Preeti. Okay, so Karen and Preeti. Okay, meeting is adjourned. Thank